to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Deacon.
Hey.
All right, guys, we're back. This time we're going to talk about Shazam. So this is the newly released film from Warner Brothers in the DCEU, if that still exists. Not quite sure. Yeah. Obviously, this is directed by David Sandberg, starring Zachary Levi, Mark Strong, Asher Angel, Dylan Grazer, and Djimon Hounsou. The general premise of this story is a little boy, Billy Batson, has an interaction with a wizard. Right. This already sounds insane. He's given the powers of basically a god, and he's
six gods actually.
Yeah, six gods, and he's supposed to be this sort of champion. He ends up coming face to face with Mark Strong, who's the villain of the story. So both of us saw this movie. What are your thoughts on this before I give mine?
They nailed it. I'm gonna say DC nailed this one. I don't want to kind of temper your expectations. I don't want to make it feel like it's kind of a backhanded compliment.
Sure. But
I've talked to a few friends, kind of tell them what they're kind of in for. But I tell people, understand what you're walking into. If you're looking to walk into BVS or something to that ilk, you're going to have a chip on your shoulder. But if you look at this movie based on exactly what they're trying to accomplish, they nailed it.
Yeah.
They nailed it across the board. This is a crowd pleaser. This is a great family movie. Not to say adults can't enjoy it, but the kids, I think the kids going to eat this up. Like, this is right down the lane. I think this has the potential to be in that same vein as Spider-Man. Of course, not overselling it. That's going to be as big as Spider-Man because he's the flagship guy at Marvel. But as far as hitting that demographic, they nailed it.
Yeah.
And it was an enjoyable film.
Yeah. So I would largely agree with you. As we've said on the Nerdpocalypse podcast, it's a 4-quadrant film, right? It is hitting mom, dad, son, and daughter, right? Like they are going for that demographic. It is easily the lightest movie that DC's ever done. Yeah. It's far more focused on like just having fun and it's not dark by any means. I mean, I guess you could say the villain is like a little dark, but even that I don't even take that dark, honestly.
It has some moments, but overall, no.
Yeah. It's shot squarely at kids. Like, it really is. Like, they know the demographic of this. It's like Billy Batson is a young sort of high school age kid, or middle school, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah. About right.
And they are aiming right at that demographic. And I think they nail it. I think they largely do. It's just a fun time. I think it has moments that drag a little in the middle. But nothing that was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this. It's just there's a lot going on. Like, not too much that it feels like overbearing, but there's a lot of things going on. It's establishing Billy Batson as a character, his family, this adopted
that was a
family.
Great piece. The family component of that was dope.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. Right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. The movie has a lot of heart.
It does. It probably has the most heart of any of the DC films. I would argue.
Yeah, and I think one of the, like, when people kind of see it again, they're like, oh, it's goofy, so it's bad. No, you can do goofy good and goofy bad. Not again, kind of looking at the movie to what they're trying to accomplish in this. They could have went for that demographic and that field and totally failed at it. Yeah, they went for it and they nailed it. And it's been said a million times, so let's make it 1,000,001. Is basically big with superpowers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, there's literally a scene of like the piano scene. Like they don't play into it too much. There's just like a quick moment to recognize that, which I liked. Yeah. But what I think they're doing with this specifically is they're doing what Marvel did that I think really worked, which is they're starting to take genres and adapt them into the superhero world. And I think that's really smart. And that's not to say they're just copying Marvel, because Marvel hasn't done anything like this. But just that idea of like Ant-Man is a heist film, and Winter Soldier is a specific like military thriller, that kind of thing. Right. So they're taking sort of this, not a fish out of water, but like, little kid becomes a big, like a big superhero or an adult. They're taking that general story and they're using it, and I think it's good.
And you have to do this for the culture, for lack of a better word, to keep everything moving forward. You know, I think a lot of people think that comic books is a genre and it has to be one thing. No, comic books is a medium. You could tell different stories within comics and within these movies. So like you said with the Ant-Man heist movie, Winter Soldier, that was a spy thriller.
Right.
You know, in the context of a comic book. But back to Shazam, they had a couple like dope moments. And once I got away from the movie, I realized like, yo, like it was the two moments in that movie I really had to kind of almost restrain my enthusiasm. I'm trying to be all cool, like I'm an adult, yeah, but nah. But inside, 10-year-old Dorian, 8-year-old, no, I was having a fit.
Right.
So yeah, it has a lot of dope moments, great surprises. One particular surprise,
yeah, it's a great surprise.
We didn't mind at all.
No, no, not at all.
But yeah, overall, yeah, it's a good movie. They nailed it. This is another win in the win column for DC. This is another step in the right direction. Keep moving those chains. Yeah. Keep moving the chains, man. You got Aquaman. You got Shazam now. Wonder Woman, hopefully, but it probably will because Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, I think
they've already got that formula figured out. And then whatever this Joker movie's going to do. But right now, it's a winning formula. They're going to make this money back.
Yeah, I mean, this one apparently had a budget between 80 and 100 million, which is pretty low for them, right? Like they kind of did this one on the cheap, and in some ways it shows. But all in all, I thought it was really, really great. I was going to say one other thing that before we get out of here.
Me too, go ahead.
One thing that I think is really super important to remember when you're watching this movie is not only do they aim it at kids, but they make the universe feels more complete than it ever has, right? Yeah. The kids know who Superman is. The kids know who Batman is and Aquaman and the Flash.
It's not a secret. You're right.
Right. Like all of that is public information. And so like the way people interact with Shazam is really interesting. Right. Like there's a number of scenes of like the kids going into school and there's always kids in like Superman shirts that like that you can buy now.
It's part of the lexicon, yeah.
Right. Or Batman shirts.
And by far it's not a perfect movie. There are some moments that, like you said, maybe felt like it dragged. For me, there were a couple moments where even though I accepted the camp factor and the corny factor of the movie, where some lines maybe didn't work or maybe felt like they were trying too hard, and a couple questionable CGI moments, but those are very small in the overall scope of things. Like again, it's a good movie. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it again.
Okay, and do you have a score for this?
When we left, I was probably playing with 3.5 to a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah. I'm actually going to give it a 4 as well. And I would normally probably give it somewhere like a 3.75, but I think there is an aspect that is aimed at kids that is, for me, wow, that seems really goofy, but that is exactly what a kid, like thinking of myself at like 14 or 13, I'd be like, this is hilarious. Right. And so I think because it's aimed so well at that, I have to remember like to take my sort of adultness out of it. Like I'm an old washed man. I'm like, oh, that's not a funny joke. But for kids it is because it totally works for them. So it's a 4 out of 5. Look, if you got kids who are into all these superhero movies, this is like textbook down the line, man. It really is. And if you're an adult who likes this stuff, you're gonna have a good time. So 4 out of 5 for Shazam, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.